Welcome to the hottest real estate topics on the planet, keeping you up to date with all the creative ways to buy and sell real estate without bank qualifying, so anyone can build real income starting today. Here is another great show with Dealmaker Bill and Pete the Rookie.
All right, here we are, another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies. Good morning, Peter.
Morning, Bill, or afternoon, or evening, or dead of night.
Whenever you're listening.
Yeah.
Here we are at episode number 351. And this is going to be one of my favorites, I decided.
You can tell already.
Well, this is because it's actually a culmination of a lot of things that I said, but I feel like when I wrote it, I was really concise and easy to understand, and I didn't go off on a tangent. So I think it's going to be cool because of that. So here's the episode name.
Uh-huh.
Top problems for rookies in creative real estate with today's economy. Here's the description.
Okay.
The world of creative real estate investing can be overwhelming for rookies, particularly in the current economic climate. That's why this episode is dedicated to addressing the top problems that rookies in creative real estate are likely to face, such as how to find good deals, how to evaluate them, and how to fund them, right? In this episode, you will get 30 plus years experience on how to spot the barriers, then how to handle them so you too can start doing good deals and buy your own freedom back. By the end of this episode, all rookies in creative real estate will have a better understanding of the top problems that hold 98% of all of them back from success. And big paydays. Whether you're just starting out in creative real estate investing or looking to brush up on the latest trends and techniques, top problems for rookies in creative real estate with today's economy is an episode you won't want to miss. So you should listen now.
Okie doke.
Take notes too. All right, so let's do some of our housekeeping first of all. So we live stream this on Thursday mornings at 9:30 a.m. When we record this, we do it. We live stream it to Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. If you so care to join us, you may do that by going to one of those platforms, typing in "Flipping Houses for Rookies." If you have questions, you can ask questions in the wherever they allow you to type stuff in those different platforms, and I will answer questions pertaining to the podcast only. If you have other questions, you can do one of two things. You can go to I have to sneeze, so hang on a second. Oh my goodness.
Hope you don't sneeze like my mother used to. She sneezed for 5 minutes.
Yeah, no.
You okay? All right. He's back.
So one way that you can communicate is in our group of WhatsApp Messenger called Let's Talk Real Estate. There are lots of people in there that are like-minded. You know, Napoleon Hill said in Think and Grow Rich, you should mastermind. That's a great place for you to mastermind. There's a lot of like-minded people in there. Or if you have an individual question for myself or Peter, you can go to flippinghousesforrookies.com. Top right-hand side is a support button. You can go there and click on the support button and send me a support ticket. And I usually get to those every day, every other day, something like that. Lastly, in the description, there's a link. And there's a link in the description that pertains to information for today's podcast. So if I'm talking about stuff, you can go in there and the link is there. And make sure you subscribe to us or like us or give us feedback so we know how you feel about this podcast. We spend about 5 or 6 hours a week developing this podcast so you can get this information for free. And we'd like if you could give us some exchange. It's good for you, good for us. And the way you would do that is by liking us or disliking us or writing a comment or a review and subscribing to us. Okay? Mm-hmm. Pete, let's start today off with on the right foot for our listeners.
Okay.
First, I'm going to get something to drink. Sneezing, drinking, I'm a hot mess. Mm-hmm. So check this out. We're at episode number 351.
Yeah.
Agreed? What does that mean?
That means there's over 350 hours of information, and we've been doing this for 7 years.
And 8 years actually. And you know what we've never ever once have done?
Never, ever, ever? Not once, ever, ever,
never.
What?
The definition of a rookie.
Okay. I'm not sure I want to hear this, but go ahead.
Definition of rookie is slang for slang. What is slang?
Well, it's not formal English.
It's not proper English.
It might wind up in a dictionary, but it'll say slang. So it might not last. A few years, a couple of decades, it could be gone, replaced by something else. And it doesn't go back to, I don't know, it might not have a derivation in Old Latin or Greek or anything even.
Yeah, so it's a language that consists of words and phrases that are regarded as very informal or more common in speech than writing.
Yep.
Right? Mm-hmm. So that is slang. So the rookie is slang for someone who is new at something.
Mm-hmm. Does it say if that started in sports? Because I always heard it there. Nope. I thought I heard it there.
Nope.
No?
Its real definition is a new recruit or cadet who has joined something like the Army or the police.
Ah, okay.
Now that later after that, like you said, I think went into sports.
Yeah.
But its actual definition is a new recruit or cadet.
Oh. That makes sense because I watched a TV show, The Rookie. Yeah. It's a new cops.
Yeah.
That makes
sense. Who has joined something like and they said the Army, because I was going to write the military, but it didn't say, when I did my research, it said the Army or police. It was very specific to those two. Mm-hmm. Right? And interestingly enough, the word actually derives from Latin crescere, which is crescere, crescere, which is to grow.
Okay.
So the derivation of the word, where it derived from or where it originated, was from Latin crescere, which means to grow. So a rookie is to grow.
Cool.
As in, you got to grow your own.
Yeah.
That's the example in the dictionary I use. So as in, you got to grow your own. Huh. That's a rookie.
Okay.
All this makes sense, right?
Yeah. Well, especially even that part, grow your own. You're really on your own. Looking around for who's going to help me, where do I learn? Because you don't go to the rookie school for real estate, right? But this is it to some degree. And we've done a lot of work on that. Video series on start to finish and all kinds of stuff to make it easier for the rookie. Because you can feel lost otherwise.
So to your point, here's another thought. Grow into what?
Yeah. Well, I'm always trying to become a professional personally. I want to become Pete the Pro one of these days. And a professional is somebody who makes money. And I've been making money, so where's my wings? What do you think? What do you say?
Here's what I mean. This is the first stumbling block for almost 99% of creative real estate rookies. Grow into what?
Oh, yeah.
What is creative real estate?
Yeah.
Now, we did this a few podcasts back. I defined it, but I think it was out of context. Which is why I'm bringing in rookie, because rookie is you're new to an industry and you need to grow into it. So what are you going to grow into?
Yeah.
So what is creative real estate? First, it is not what the internet says. an alternative solution to the conventional way deals are done now.
They should call it the ultimate solution. You just got to change an adjective. Ultimate.
Conventional, by the way, means based on or in accordance with what is generally done or believed. So it is what is generally, so conventional means based on or in accordance with what is generally done or believed. Doesn't mean it's right or wrong, it's just what we do.
No, because people believe that generally you go get a realtor to buy a house. That they just think that because they're more organized or whatever. They don't think about other ways to do it.
So I could go home
guys.
from work every single night and I could drink a 30-pack of beer. That's
Okay.
what I generally do, and that's what I generally believe.
Yeah,
Is that good for me?
No.
Probably not.
No. Nope.
So that taps into whole nother topic, which I talked about many episodes again, and probably will do it again. Habits.
Yeah, I haven't talked about habits in a while. Ooh.
So in 1949, I talked about this in just recent podcasts. In 1949, the National the National Realtors Association was formed to police the ethics of realtors.
Yep.
So they had to write a code of ethics because they were not being good boys and little girls, and they had to create the National Realtors Association to police the bad little boys and girls that were stealing deposits and selling real estate that was not really owned by the owners, and all those things that they did back in the day.
Sometimes things just don't change, do they?
Prior to this date, realtors were not considered ethical and not to be trusted. Which begs the question, how did we buy and sell real estate before 1949?
Yeah.
However, what the realtor did do for us, or did do for the industry, because they did, and it's not all bad, they did good things. Maybe. Was get the banker involved. Which meant at closing, the seller would get paid in full, would not get paid in full prior to this. Right? So we used to joke about it in some of our seminars, right? Yeah, I'll buy your land from you, and I'll pay you, what was it, 3 chickens, 2 pigs, and
a dozen eggs.
And a dozen eggs. Every month, right?
Yeah, I mean, there were banks, and you see even old movies like the banker would steal the farmer's ranch by doing something bad and diverting the water, ruining the ranch, and getting his ranch back. So there could be that. But people think today that you have to follow rules to buy real estate. You have to go to you don't have to do damn anything. If between you and a person, you can do what you want.
You have to do one thing. You have to agree. You have to agree.
Yeah, but it's between
buyer and seller need to agree.
Yeah, it's between you and the seller. Like, we don't need permission to do this.
Now, Peter, I'm going to go on a limb here because I'm going to ask you a question I just thought of.
Okay.
And I want you to be 100% honest with me, which you always are. Have you connected the dots yet?
Which dots?
So we talk about the creature from Jekyll Island.
Yeah.
And we talk about the monetary system, which if you have not watched that video or read the book is much better. The book is thick. It's 2 inches thick. It's 500 pages.
Yeah.
But there's a 40-minute video from the author on YouTube called The Creature from Jekyll Island. It's how our monetary system happened.
Right, and by the way, Jekyll Island isn't some weird thing. It's just an island off the coast of Georgia. It's not like this big made-up thing. It's just an island. It's a funny name, but it's just a place.
Yeah, you can go visit it today in real time. You can actually go there. Right? So Jekyll Island happened in, I think, the 30s.
I thought it was like more around World War I, wasn't it? 1911, 17.
Yeah, they started it then, but by the time they got it implemented and passed through the laws and all that stuff, it was several years later.
Wow,
So
gotcha.
even if
Okay.
it's the 20s, right? So
What's the
so
difference?
actually, you're right. You're right. Here's the reason why I know that. Because my impression, we're way diverted right now, but my impression of the Depression and why it happened was because of income taxes.
Which started around then, just around World War One, 1917, 18, 16.
So the creature from Jekyll Island was a group of guys, the bankers, that wanted to change the monetary system. They wanted to standardize the banking industry. Unfortunately, it was slanted to them. But one of the things that they decided is that they would print money, because the United States government can't print money; they can only use metal, based on our Constitution, right? So they created this thing called the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve actually prints the money, and if you look at your money, your dollar bills and $5 bills and tens and 20s and 50s and hundreds, right? It says a note to the United States government, which is an IOU. Because they were printing money, right? What happened was, Peter's going to show you.
Let's see. So on this side, God we trust, that's there. Oh, this side.
Yeah.
Ching.
Yep.
Reserve note. Yeah, Federal Reserve note right at the top.
Federal Reserve note, which is an IOU. So because they were printing money, the way what happened is they would print the money and the money would go to the government, and then the government would spend it.
Yeah.
So they knew that if they told the public that, they'd be like, yeah, okay, these guys will run the world because they're going to print the money. And the guy with the gold makes the rules.
Yep.
So they came
Hey,
up
Bill,
with
that
this.
changed to the guy with the paper makes the rules.
Yeah. So that comes up with the next barrier they had, like how are we going to do this? And they came up with income tax. So what we'll do is we'll tell the public that we need to have income tax, and that's what's going to pay the government. So to this day, we have an IRS, an income tax, and sales tax goes to the local state, but income tax is federal. So to this day, most people think that income tax is what pays for the government, and that's what they spend, which is not true, because what the government is really spending is the printed money. So if they print $10 trillion, then the government needs to spend $10 trillion to get it circulated.
Yeah.
Go watch the creature from Jekyll Island on YouTube. You will be amazed. Right? So, my point is that when income tax came about, some years later, not many, all these big moguls were not, like the railroads and the lumber companies and oil companies, were not used to paying. So what happened was it started taking about 25 or 30% of their profits, and we ended up with inflation problems.
Yeah.
And we ended up with the 1929 or 30 stock market crash, which the stock market crash, all it was a run on the bank for their deposit money.
Yep.
So one of the things a creature from Jekyll Island will teach you is that most banks only keep about 10% of the deposited money, because that's all that will go in and out of the bank. In any given day, most people will not. The total consumption that people will go in and take from a bank is not more than 10% than what is deposited.
Right. People don't go every day, take all their money out every day.
So what happened was in the Depression, there was a rush in the bank because they heard that the banks were getting wobbly, so too many people went to the bank to try to get their money out, and there wasn't enough cash to do it.
Yeah.
And that was the Depression. Right?
Yeah. Reference It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah.
Jimmy Stewart. Just go watch that if you need to see an example of how it works. It was a little bit after these days.
So, my point that I'm trying to make here, and I'm spending too much time on it, is if you look at that timeline, right? So in that and we'll say the 30s, 1920s to 1930s, banks become prominent.
Yeah.
Now, by the time we get into the 40s and the 50s, banks are trying to do business because they're big banks now. They're national banks now, right? They're starting to grow. In the 50s was when all the fast food came about. That's when all McDonald's and Wendy's and Burger King and all the big chains came about, right? So the fad back then in the 40s and 50s was go national. That's how you became wealthy. So banks were trying to do the same thing. So when I say the realtors brought the banks to the table, it was in unison with the way history was going. And they realized one of the best things that banks could do is lend money on real estate because real estate doesn't move.
Yeah.
And they can lend money and over the 30-year period make 2.5 times their lend. So if they lend you $100,000, you pay 30 years, you pay $250,000 or more.
A big, long loan. Yeah. And they push that. My son worked at a bank as a teller. They pushed him every day to sell loans. He's a bank teller. They really want the loans.
Right. So now, most transactions were done without banks prior to that. And now the realtor brings the bank onto the scene. So like instead of me coming and saying, Pete, I want to buy your farm, and I'll pay you, 3 chickens, 2 dozen eggs, and 4 cows or whatever. Now it's like I can get all my money and I can leave. So the realtors brought that on board, right? So here's another little unknown fact, which brings out the true definition of creative real estate. See, when the banker got involved, it was all about the property he was lending on.
Yeah.
What it was worth, and how he would feel safe. So things like comparables, condition, location, and inspections came about.
Sure.
Which means the realtor system is all about comparables, conditions, location, and inspections of the house. Because that's the banker's rules. So the only way that the realtor could get their commission was to follow the banker's rules.
Yep.
Right? We have a podcast way, way, way back, like below 100 episode. I think it's episode 50 or 60, called the Real Estate Mafia. How to beat the real estate mafia, right? I actually wrote a book on that. I never published it, but I wrote it. It's printed. I got 50 copies in the other room. I hand them out as like business cards, right? How to beat the real estate monopoly. All right, so the realtor system, I want to make the point is all about the edifice. Edifice is the house, the legal term for the house. So it's about the real property, right? What condition is it in? What location it is in? But realize it's all under the guise of what the banker feels like it's worth in case he has to take it back. So you're never going to get 100% bank loan, right?
Yeah.
I mean, FHA has something close. Federal Housing Authority has something close, right? But it's uncommon. However, in creative real estate, all those things are an afterthought. What is the house worth? What is the location? Is it functional? Is it non-functional? Here's why. Creative real estate is all about managing and owning what controls the property. First, it's not about the property. It's about what controls the property. See, in the realtor system, who controls the property?
Whoever has a deed.
Okay. So I'll ask the question again. Who controls the property? So if I have the deed and I don't pay my mortgage, what happens?
Oh, well, who owns the money, maybe?
Who controls the property is the bank.
Yeah, because they control the
Because
money.
I have a deed and I can knock it down. I can build it up. I can, do whatever I want with it as long as I pay.
Yeah.
right? So in creative real estate, we're all about managing or owning what controls the property.
Mm-hmm.
Which means if we have a lease with an option to buy, we're controlling the property, right?
Yep.
Nelson Rockefeller said sometime in the past, right? I think that's the original Rockefeller's grandson, wasn't it? John
D.
Yeah, it was his grandfather.
Yeah. I think
Anyways, Nelson Rockefeller is known for his famous statement: "The way to build and keep wealth is to own nothing, control everything."
Yep.
So a lease option is a lease with an option to buy is a way to control and not own. Now, why would Nelson Rockefeller say that?
Because when you have lots and lots and lots of money or properties, your biggest problem is not losing it. So if you personally own it, you can be in trouble. But if you only control it, you're not on the hook for other liabilities too, lawsuits, problems. That's what I think.
I have a friend at the cigar shop, and he comes from a very wealthy family. He's actually an ex-alcoholic, and he's not. But he grew up in that elite aristocrat type of. I mean, they owned like towns. They're very wealthy, right? And he talks about it from the other side, which I never heard because he grew up in it as a child. His grandfather was the one. His great-grandfather started it. They started with an insurance company, knocking door to door, collecting payments. And they turned it into like one of these big insurance companies. They're big. They own one of the biggest insurance companies, right?
Yeah.
The point is exactly what you say. Their sole concentration is how to keep the money. Yeah. So I asked the question looking for the answer of the reason why Nelson Rockefeller says own nothing, control everything is to control your liabilities and you control the assets and control the liabilities. And the way you do that is if they can't get to you, they can't take the money away.
Yep.
Right? So, which means if we have a lease option to buy, we are controlling the property, like I said. Or if we have done a subject to deal and get the deed in our name or entity, we own the property.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest difference between realtor's way and creative real estate falls under the old saying: the one with the gold makes the rules. With the realtor system, the banks control and make the rules of the deal by saying yes or no. But if you learn and use creative real estate the way we do, or the oldest ways on planet Earth to do real estate transactions, then you hold the gold and make all the rules and say yes or no. And these deals can be easily known, especially if you've rented a place in the past. So in other words, these deals, the creative real estate can be done without a lot of effort. I mean, if you've rented a place in the past and had a landlord, right?
Yeah, you signed a lease.
You're 90% of the way there.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
All you need to know is how to turn that transaction from a liability to an asset. So normally when you rent, well, let's define a liability and an asset.
Yeah.
So very simply, Kiyosaki language.
Mm-hmm.
Asset brings you money, liability costs you money. Just that simple.
Yep.
Asset brings you money, liability costs you money.
Mm-hmm.
So most people think that their house that they live in is an asset. It's really not, because it costs them money. It doesn't make them money. Your car you think is an asset. It's not. It costs you money. It doesn't bring you money. So I know that I personally have a disease. I love to spend money. But it took me later in my life to realize the way I spend my money, I go, and you see me do it, Peter, because I complain to you all the time about it, is like, I'll take all my reserves, all my cash, and I'll buy, like I just bought a two-family house. And I could have borrowed money. I needed 30 grand. I could have borrowed money. But instead, instead of taking it from places I shouldn't take it, I just, like, instead of doing a renovation in 3 weeks, I did it over 3 months. And I just took my earnings and I just paid that money. So yeah, for 3 months I was broke as hell. I was cash poor. But I poured all the money into that unit, and now I have a two-family house that makes $1,485 a month profit. So my 30 grand, I took over a mortgage, subject to. My 30 grand is now, I didn't do the math. Let me do the math. Hang on a second. 1485 times 12 is 17,820 divided by 30,000. I have a 59% return on my 30,000 the first year.
Yeah.
The second year it goes to 100. That's what creative real estate does. Now, I'm not supposed to be using my own cash because that's what I teach. But after a while, when you have cash, you have to use it. You have to employ it.
Yeah. Well, instead of having to sit there, if you borrowed that, you'd lose 7, 8, 9, 10%. So you saved money doing that, right?
So, just what you're talking about,
$2,000 a year.
$2,700 a year, right? So divided by 12. So that's exactly what I'm talking about. So I poured it into the asset. I took the 30,000 and I put it in the asset, and I get a 59% return on my 30,000, right?
Yeah.
If I borrowed that money from a private lender, it would be a liability of $225 a month. Now, would it matter because I'm making $1,485 in the house? So instead, I would make $1,200. Would it matter? No. But my business plan is to retire, because I'm 59, to retire. Not physically retire, but just to retire and never someday just have enough property and have it all paid off, and that's my legacy to my family, right? So I don't want to have the balloon note in 5 years to have to pay the $30,000.
Yeah.
Now, I could do an amortization and all that, but I thought it was easier because I was able to do it, right?
Yeah, but isn't this the point that this is creative financing? You could do this, or you could have done that, or you could have done that instead. You pick the one that fits your lifestyle right now, how you want to do it. You've got choices. You don't have to go to a bank, get a loan, blah, 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 30 years. You can do it 2 years, and you're in there, pure profit.
The one with the gold makes the rules.
Yeah.
Now, I rented that place in 1 week. The first floor was already rented. The second floor I rented in 1 week. Now it's a 4-bedroom apartment. I have one that's 2 blocks away or 3 blocks away. And I rented it out last year, and I thought I was robbing the world by getting $1,370, because that was $1,370 a month, because that was the going rate. And I was like, oh man. I mean, prior to that, I was getting $1,100.
Yeah, we're used to things happening last year, the year before, or the last 5-10 years, but things are changing so fast. The numbers are moving.
I got $1,595 for this place, and I found a buyer. I found a renter. Now, of course, these are. I only have, a couple of multifamilies I keep. The rest of them are all my creative deals. Anyways, so we're way off topic. The point is with creative real estate, we control the deals through the paperwork, right?
Yep.
And that's how we do the deals. So the difference between real estate and creative real estate is the bankers make the rules and you have to follow them, which is very, very difficult because they have a lot of illogical, nonsensical, weird things that flip on a quarter, flip on a dime. Right?
Yeah. I'm in the middle of doing some refinancing on a little home equity line of credit. I have two credit unions going back and forth, refinancing because the interest rate went up. And 3 weeks later, they come back to me. I'm not even going to tell the story. Well, the bank wants to know if you could do this and that instead. Like, no, I want to do this. Would you do this and that instead? No, I want to do what I asked for. Like, like unbelievable. Like, this is my request. I'm the customer. This is what I want. But they have their ideas of what they want. Like, no, this is what I want. I almost yelled at her. Thanks.
So that's today's world. I mean, yesterday I had some. I had bought my grandkids a bunch of toys. I'll play with outside, and they've outgrown them. So I loaded my car up yesterday, and I brought it up to where I bought them. I bought them there, and I bring them all inside. Girl says to me, "Smells like smoke." I'm like, "No, that's me." I said, "I stink like smoke because I smoke a cigar." "Oh, well, we can't accept any of these toys," she says. You'll have to get them out of the store. Illogical. That's today's world. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. Anyways, let's recap before I move on because I'm going to pivot the whole podcast in about 2 minutes. So, rookie is slang for someone who is new at something.
Yep.
Right? So, we decided from the derivation or where the word came from is to grow your own. Got to grow your own.
Yeah.
So you got to grow your own beingness or who you're going to be. And you decide to have it. You're going to grow into creative real estate. You're going to be a creative real estate investor.
Yep.
So then we decided what is creative real estate. And we just talked about creative real estate is the ability to buy and sell or control the paper that controls the property. Right? Mm-hmm. So you're going to buy and sell lease options, you're going to buy and sell subject twos, you're going to buy and sell land contracts, you're going to buy and sell owner financing, right? All the things that are non-bank related. Mm. Even subject to, you're going to take the slang subject to is you're buying the property subject to the underlying mortgage, whatever the rules are.
Right.
You're assuming those responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a difference. So when we are as creative real estate investors buying and selling, what we're looking for is motivation. We're looking for a motivated seller that is willing to take monthly payments so we can pay them off or give us some sort of a discount. Mm-hmm. Right? Or we don't do the deal. What we're doing, and we're not doing that because we don't have money, we're doing that so we can leverage our deals, so we can buy more deals, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to do this now because we don't have any time, but I wrote an article one time about if I had $20,000. And the gist of the article was, if I had $20,000, I could put $20,000 down and buy an investment property, yep, which is what they want, 20%. So I'd get a $100,000 property. Mm-hmm. Buy one property, I would make a return.
Yep.
Or I can go to a little bit riskier bank, and I could put down 10% and buy 2 houses.
Yep.
Or I can go to a private lender and put down a lot less and buy 5 houses. Put down $5,000 and I could put down 5 houses. Right? So my $20,000, the first way would give me $100,000 worth of assets. Mm. The second way, I put down 20%. And then if I put down 10%, I would get 2 houses. So my assets would be worth $200,000.
Right.
Or I could go to a little bit a different lender that only requires 5% down, and I could buy 4 houses.
4. Yep.
Which would be $400,000.
Mm-hmm.
So that's about the extent of my 20 grand, right? Hmm. Or I could take that 20 grand and I could invest it into marketing and I could buy 100 houses and get $1 million.
Yeah.
It's all leveraging. So that's what a creative real estate investor wants to do, is leverage as much as possible so that he can buy more money or she can buy more assets.
Right.
Okay, does that all make sense?
Well, it's simply the least in and the most out.
Right. Well, my statement is that real estate. Thank you. I should have wrote that down. Thank you for reminding me. My statement about real estate is real estate is made to take money out of, not put money into.
Yep.
And that's what it's made for.
So yeah,
Okay,
I love
good.
I
So
love an owner finance deal. You put nothing in,
Yeah.
and I've done it myself. It's a little condo, nothing in, and you don't even pay rent or any payments for a couple of months. Then you start paying from the rent you make. So it's
Right.
money made out of thin air.
So interestingly enough, you say that because podcast number 352, which is the one after this, is called Bad Deals versus Gargantuan Deals in Creative Real Estate.
Mm-hmm.
What's the difference?
It's like digging in the dirt and finding gold. What's it cost you to dig in the dirt?
All right, good. So let's shift gears a little bit. Now that we have a clear understanding, hopefully, of what a rookie is and what creative real estate is, right? Let's go over the common problems or barriers that hold back most from success.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, I believe there's 7 of them. Number one, you don't know how to find qualified leads comfortably and quickly for deals.
Yeah.
When I first started in sales, I self-taught myself a lot. I went to a company that I owned a gas station auto repair facility for 25 years. I bought some consulting from a company in California. I later sold the gas station, ended up going to work for 6 years. It's the only time in 40 years I worked for somebody. I worked for them for 6 years. And we sold consulting for automotive repair shops. Now, I had been a client and I had been through their system. I had owned the garage, so I had a lot of when I called the company in California, I said to the receptionist, I'd like to speak to whoever's in charge of the seminar guys, right?
Yeah.
Which was called the tours. And I don't know who they are or what they are, but I'm calling because I want to come to work for them. And if they talk to me for 5 minutes, they will hire me, guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
And they called me back 15 minutes later, and an hour later they hired me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was their perfect. I had owned a shop for 25 years. I had gone through their system. I knew their entire system, and I excelled.
Yeah.
So, my point in saying that is, when I got into this company, there was one guy. There was 5 or 6 salesmen. There was one guy that was like above and beyond everybody else in sales. Took me a year to figure it out. But you know what made him number one? And I found this to be the truth everywhere in any sales guy. This is the reason why they're number one.
Yeah.
They've learned to qualify. So they know who to talk to and who not to talk to. So what they do is they've come up with their own qualification system on whether somebody's worth their time or not.
Mm-hmm.
Rookies don't do that. They don't know how to find qualified leads. Not leads. Not
Right.
leads. Qualified leads. Comfortably. And now you said it most, because I keep using your time. With our new script, it takes 4 minutes, 51 seconds to find out what, Peter?
If they're qualified or not.
Right.
I mean,
You
you don't-
told me point blank in 4 minutes and 51 seconds, because you timed yourself. And of course, I'm being facetious. We'll say 5 minutes, but I like the 4 minutes, 51
No, it was
seconds.
Bill.
It's got a
It was
better effect.
4:59.
Oh, 59. Oh,
No,
okay.
you get to the end of the phone call, you look at the screen, and it says 4:59.
Okay.
So-
So we're going to stick with the 451 because I like it.
No, that's totally fine.
The point
I
is
sneezed
you
for 8
said to
minutes.
me, I know everything I need to know about the deal.
Yeah.
In 5 minutes.
Yeah. Well, I probably, I don't know what I really said, but I know everything I need to know about the person if it's worth going on.
Right.
It's not even like the deal, the money, how much, how little. It's not even of that. Like, is he willing to do terms? Is he willing to give me a discount? If it's no and no, the rest doesn't matter. 3 beds, 2 beds, how, it just doesn't matter.
I get coaching clients. I have a coaching client that's been with me probably 3 or 4 months, and I still can't break them of going and looking at the houses first and not qualifying the seller.
Really? Oh, boy.
They're stuck. They're rehabbers, ex-rehabbers, are still doing rehabs, and they're the type of client that goes and buys a house for $200,000, renovates it for $200,000, sells it for $800,000.
Yeah.
You know, one of those kind of people.
Okay.
So, number one, you don't know how to find and qualify leads comfortably and quickly for deals. Number two, then when you figure out leads or think you have enough leads, because here's what happens. It goes quantity, quality, then viability.
Yep.
So what you do is you tend to get a lot of leads, and then try to get a virtual assistant to bring them from quantity to quality. And you don't know how to do that. So what you end up doing is doing volume instead of quantity.
Right.
I'm sorry, you're doing volume instead of quality.
Yeah, that's what you said. You're talking to too many people, not finding the right ones. Not,
And you're getting beat up.
Not getting rid of the wrong stuff.
And you get beat up, and what you do is you put somebody between you and the seller, which is usually a virtual assistant that's not as good, and they excuse me, because you don't know how to qualify them. You can't teach your VA how to qualify them, virtual assistant.
Yep.
Which is how I figured out the difference between me and a rookie is I can convert better. So what I tell the rookies is you got to make 100 phone calls, 50 to 100 phone calls to get used to talking to a seller, which nowadays is not true because with our scripts and all our software, you don't even have to do that anymore, right? The trick is that if you know how to qualify or pre-screen a seller, then you don't need to have volume, because it used to be if you call enough people, you will find a motivated seller that will say yes. And motivated sellers do not need experience. They'll sell their house to anybody that's willing to take it off their hands.
That's right.
Right? Even a 10-year-old kid.
Yep, it's a 10-year-old kid or nobody.
Right. So you see where I'm going here, Peter? So you don't know how to find qualified leads comfortably and quickly. And then once you think you have that figured out, which is usually with volume, right? You worry too much about what to say to the sellers. So now you feel like you have enough leads. You go from I don't have enough. Now you have 100 leads in your system somewhere, and you need to get through them and find out who. So now you're like, what do I say?
Yeah.
Then you'll go online or get a guy like me, or you'll go to my free stuff page and think that you found a gold mine because I gave you some scripts, and you think, oh my God, you're the cat's ass, and okay, we're all set with scripts now. So we found leads, and we have scripts, and we're ready to go.
Yep.
Once you find some comfortable scripts, in other words, what did I say there? What did I just say? You found what kind of scripts?
Comfortable?
What does that mean?
Something that agrees with what you think?
Not that they work, not that they produce, not that you know that they're good, they're comfortable for your personality.
Yeah.
Once you find some comfortable scripts, deal structuring becomes the barrier.
Yeah.
And you spend months, years, decades studying how to do it. As a rookie. As a rookie. Definition of rookie. Rookie is slang for someone who is new at something.
Yeah.
So you're studying this as a rookie.
Yep. Still not buying.
Yeah.
Still studying. No, wait a minute. I'm doing research. No offense.
So now, number 6. That's not correct. What am I doing?
Oh, where were you? 4?
I was on 3.
Yeah, 4's next.
Oh, I numbered them wrong. So there aren't 7. 4, 5.
Yeah, you had 5 yesterday. Or last time I talked to you.
Yeah, okay.
5?
So number 4, yeah, it's 5. I numbered them wrong. So number 4, now that you feel you have some control or understanding of finding leads, knowing what to say, and structuring the deal, you now start to worry about paperwork and legal documents.
Yep.
Like which ones to use. Are they legal? Especially in my state. So like you'll go buy my documents and the first question I get is, are they legal in my state?
Sure.
And how do you fill them out correctly so it doesn't come back and bite you in the ass when things or if things go bad?
Yep.
You worry about that next.
Oh yeah, if it's written down on a piece of paper,
Must be
signed.
must be executable by court, right?
Yeah, it's signed by Paul, you, the other people. You don't want to mess around with that.
Right. Okay. How am I doing so far? Pretty good?
Yeah, you know, we've talked about all these things separately, but about a week ago, you threw them at me like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wow, that's about right. And you hadn't talked about it, so I'm glad you're going over that today. It really puts the big mess of what should I do? Why am I failing? What do I fix first? You got it in sequence. So fix the first one, fix the second one, get the third one.
This is the growth of a creative real estate investor. So we defined what is a rookie. We told you what is creative real estate, and here is the 5 steps you need to go through and master. And oh yeah, by the way, it's cyclical. So you go through it on one deal, and then go back through it on another deal, and then someone like me has gone through it 100 times, and you still, or hundreds of times, and you're still learning from it. It doesn't end. It doesn't end.
Yeah, but at least after a good batch of it, you get the general flow of how things go, and you can adjust when there's little changes here and there.
Remember I told you, I remember one time we were in a car and I told you until you've done 5 deals, you're nothing. 10 deals, something like 10 deals, then you start to catch on.
Yeah.
And until you do about 50 deals, you really don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're constantly, and what I meant by that is you're constantly confronted with surprises. See, to me, the definition, and I got to go back to this because we're almost done. The definition of a good executive, I got to get this right. I got to get the right language here. Hang on one second. Is you have to spot the indicators of a situation early. We're used to making $10,000 a week, but this week we only made $9,500. That's an indicator that something changed, something's wrong, something's not correct.
Yeah.
And if you catch it right then, you could fix it. Instead of next week we only did 9,000, then 8,500, until you get down to the point where you need $4,000 hard money to make payroll, and you only have 2,500. So good executive catches the indicators quick, early on.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's what these 5 points are, is those indicators. How good are we? It's a way of measuring. If you're going to use statistic, these are the 5 statistics you would use. Okay, so now we got to go to number 5. So number 1, let's just recap. Number 1 is how to find leads quickly and comfortably. Qualified leads.
Yeah.
Then the scripts, what to say, right?
Yeah.
Then once you figure out the scripts, you worry about
It's a
deal structuring,
structure.
which deals to do. Then you worry about the paperwork, and then the one that should really be number 1, but I had to put it at number 5 so you would understand it. In final, rookies always agonize about being able to sell the property.
Yeah.
And not get stuck with it and all the problems that a motivated seller has.
Yeah.
So you become the motivated seller.
Yeah, right.
Right? which means you have unwanted mortgage payments, unwanted utilities to pay, unwanted maintenance and repairs, and unwanted attention and headaches with a vacant property.
And don't forget squirrels.
Squirrels, yeah. Rodents.
Sometimes. Hey, Bill, would there be like a subset of little steps on the selling part, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that would, like as a subset, fit under selling, like finding leads for that? And
oh yeah, yeah. No, this I don't even know what to say. I'm stumbling. We never, ever talk about selling a house. When if you started with how do you sell a house and reverse engineered it and went backwards, you would never worry about buying a house, because if you knew how you could sell a house and how much you want, which is what I'm telling you, number 5 is actually number 0, because you don't make calls because you're worried about it, you might pay too much, you don't know enough, and you make all these excuses and do all this research because you don't want to get burned, when really it's the 5th step, but you think it's the 1st step, but you're a rookie and you don't know.
Yeah.
Right? Remember I used to tell you, if it takes 10 steps to get through a deal, the first time you might get to the first 2, and then the deal falls apart. The second time maybe to 4, and then it falls apart. The 3rd time maybe to 7, and it falls apart. But you got to do all 10 steps before you understand it. This is it. This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you just keep, you learn the first step, you get through that, you make it to the next one, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But at least you have it like in a sequence this way.
Right. So you don't want to turn into a motivated seller like what you're trying to help your sellers with.
So are we going to do a podcast on how to sell houses?
We have.
Maybe we could do more of those. Keep people from being nervous.
Okay, so let me read what I have here. So, thus turning you into a motivated seller, which is the core reason you don't pull the trigger and even have major fear of calling sellers.
Yeah.
And that puts the wooden stake in the heart of a rookie's dreams of doing creative real estate. Those 5 points. The last one being the major of them all. Often stops him or her dead in his cadet tracks before leaving basic training. Truth is, the only way to make truckloads of dough in creative real estate is to talk to sellers who control the property and tend to be motivated. Only those people can help you with your freedom. None others. Not the real estate.
Yeah.
It is a people business, not a real estate business. Just go to a closing yourself. Just observe the closing. Be a fly on the wall and watch the closing, and you will not find the house there signing the paperwork. So at the end of the day, the number one thing rookies are trying to overcome is rookies are too worried the seller has more questions than he or she has answers. And never makes the phone calls or makes enough phone calls because they're afraid the seller will have more questions than they have answers. Which brings me to my last point. Any and all pros have figured out the one secrets rookies don't know. How to quickly qualify and keep your, how to quickly and qualify and keep or whack the the right sellers. I don't know why I stumbled with that so much. I'm going to read it again. How to quickly qualify and keep or whack the right sellers. Our pros, like we talked about already, have a 5-minute conversation and know everything they need to know on whether they should do the deal or not. And this is truly the biggest difference between a rookie and a pro. So it is worth pursuing how to do this, which is why I made a training video for you to see about how we exactly do this. Practically push button style. Just go to today's podcast description. The link is there, and I'll show you how to do it all today. Just go click on it and watch it. And let's do that again. Okay, I'm going to stop reading. You'll be blown away. And how quickly you can move from being a rookie to a pro, making consistent monthly mailbox money. Check in the mailbox by next month. The link is in the description of this podcast, wherever you're watching it or listening to it. It's worth your time. Thank you for listening. Like I said already earlier, episode number 351 is bad deals versus gargantuan deals in creative real estate. Pretty interesting concept that I go through there. Actually, I learned from just writing it. Please make sure you subscribe to us wherever you're watching us or listening to us. Make sure you give us a review. Type in whether you like us or not. We spend about 5 or 6 hours a week putting these podcasts together so you can have free information, which is cool, but you need to keep your exchanging with us by giving us. You'll feel better if you get exchanging with us and just not take something for free. You might as well give something back, and that would be a review. That would be subscribing to us. That would be liking us or disliking us. If you dislike us, I don't think you're still here, but by liking us and giving us feedback. If you have any questions, you can go to flippinghousesforrookies.com. And on the top right-hand side, there's a support ticket that will come to Peter and I directly. Or if you want to get part of our little mastermind group, you can go to WhatsApp Messenger and look for Let's Talk Real Estate. If for some reason you can't find that Let's Talk Real Estate, just send me a support ticket and I'll send you a link. Okay? With that said, we are over and out. Thank you for spending time with us, and we will talk to you on episode number 351. Have a good week.
Thanks for tuning in to the hottest real estate topics on the planet with Bill and Pete. If you want to continue learning how to buy and sell real estate without money or credit, head over to flippinghouses.club for some cutting-edge real estate wealth tools. Or contact us at info@flippinghouses.club.